Well, good morning, people. Um, we've got a couple of subscribers coming back in. Obviously, some of you might be interested in what the heck's gone on. Here, a couple of weeks ago, I woke up in the morning to kind of check to see who had weighed in on the last topic about shortwave radios and the little Zygu G90. And lo and behold, my entire channel had been deleted. No explanations. I don't know if that's Google. I don't know if that's hacking. I don't know what it is. They were quite thorough about it. It didn't get into my Gmail account, fortunately, but everything got mopped up. So no subscribers, no subscriptions, no content, no nothing. It's all gone. Which gives me something to kind of chew on. I mean, we had been talking about the consequences of what happens after the power down process is initiated. We've been doing that for a year or so. And, well, it's here, okay? I mean, kind of conspicuously. So, I mean, I've spent some time here considering how it is that I'd like to pursue this project, if at all. I mean, obviously being aware that there is some risk in it. And I'm not sure on that score yet. So, little contemplation. So, one of the aspects of this that is especially dark, and I think that any of us who are paying attention can recognize that regardless of where you stand in terms of your personal tribal alliances to the conflict that's unfolding around the world now. And as a proper pirate, I tend to be focused on my own future rather than the future of great powers, right? But nonetheless, wherever you would want to put your tribal alliances and who you think is at fault and who you think is not at fault, I mean, this is a worldwide conflict. Like the consequences of the kinetic aspects of this conflict are thus far relatively constrained, of course, but the financial aspects are not, and certainly the information aspects are not, and the cyber aspects are not. I mean, I don't actually know if I've been a recipient of some of that or not. That's the nature of cyber stuff. You don't know where it's coming from, but it's conspicuously suspicious. And considering that the news feed that I get either through social media or Google or any of the rest of it is massively biased towards a certain view, okay? And obviously putting out information that is fraudulent in a lot of cases, like it's straight up information warfare. Well, it doesn't surprise me. I mean, that's going on, okay? I don't want to get into that too much because, again, we have entered a moment in which having a idea or a view or a way of looking at the world that is contrary to whatever the official narrative is, that happens to be dominant in the territory where you exist, well, apparently that makes you an enemy combatant now, and you run real personal risks for stepping out of line there, and there are real costs to either being or even being perceived as someone who may have dissident leanings. Now, those of you who have known me for a while know that my philosophical interests are beyond the mainstream philosophical, and certainly embrace much that is interesting of mystery school and esoteric tradition too. And that is important because one learns there that actually living in environments in which you might be in possession of ideas or truths or views that are useful but not speakable because the empowered interests find your view dangerous. Well, actually that's more common in the history of the world than not. What is uncommon about the moment that we live in now is the power of the all-seeing eye and the reach and the ease by which even very small players can be caught up in a dragnet of surveillance. That's new. Like no more cloak and dagger kind of like dissonance, because there's no place to hide, right? So, well, historically what individuals did who were responsible about being the guardians of certain kind of views or information, once it gets that bad, you don't resist it. If you can't speak your message, you don't. And the reason for that is simple, because if the consequences of speaking that message become fatal, well, then not only are you lost, but so is your message, and it just becomes a practical issue. However, there are many ways of communicating things other than just simply broadcasting. And the easiest way to do that is to allow the truth and the narrative that you enjoy to be individually discovered by the individuals that you wish to communicate it to. Meaning that you can, well within the context of what is appropriate in culture, leave trails of breadcrumbs where intelligent, inquiring minds, if they follow through on the information, might find themselves in possession of information that would have been occluded to them otherwise. And that's quite piratey. And I imagine if I'm going to take a strategy on, that's how I'm going to be about it. So be cautious about reading inside and in between the lines. It's a remarkable thing, because my entire message here is very simple. It's one of an affirmation of life and empowerment, in the most universal sense I know to communicate, I guess. It is astonishing that it's potentially the case that a universal expression of an affirmation of life would be threatening. On the other hand, it shouldn't surprise us too much. So anyway, my thoughts for now. I may get at this again in a week or so. I will need a certain number of subscribers before I can really put up sensible content, because even the length of my videos now is throttled. We'll see who shows up, and I appreciate the support. Cheers.